everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday live, weekly Tuesday Connect. My name is Dora. I'm the host or admin of this group. For those of you who are new, welcome here. So every week I talk about a topic that's related to holistic health, but how it links into stress overall as well. Because this group we talk about how to better manage our stress in a holistic and natural way. And there are many things or many aspects of our lives that causes stress, and there might be certain areas that are quite obvious and other areas where we're perhaps not looking there. But so today in this week's topic, we are talking about cleaning the environment. And this topic can be broken down into several parts, and really, we can talk about definitely the our immediate environment, so the area where you frequent most. So that would be for most of us our homes, and maybe your workplace, or wherever else you spend a lot of time in. And so, definitely you want to keep those areas clean in the sense that you are not exposing yourself to um, chemicals and other, fumes and other toxins and things that could cause physical stress to our bodies. Now, and then the other aspect is about cleaning our environment in the sense of a more global sense in terms of taking care of our planet. Because whatever the health of our planet or our health reflects the health of the planet, right? So we can't possibly be healthy if our planet is not. And so this is another thing is, when we create pollution, we can't get away from it. We start to become exposed to these pollutants, and that's going to affect our bodies. And so cleaning our environment, making our immediate environment more environmentally friendly and safe and natural, it's going to directly have an impact on our health, but also on the health of the planet, which in turn is going to affect or influence our health. So it's always, whatever we're doing, in the ways that we're taking care of ourselves, we're also taking care of the planet and vice versa. But today I want to focus on a different topic, perhaps one that is probably not talked about as much. And it's about cleaning our homes in the way of decluttering. So I'm sure you've heard of the minimalism sort of movement, right? Living with less. And I just found this concept so fascinating. So, at the beginning, or when I first started learning about minimalism, I just thought that, oh, okay, it's about living with less things, less material things, and I mean, it made sense to me in a practical, in a practical way, because um, we do oftentimes hold on to things that perhaps we're not using anymore, that we're not even thinking about anymore, and then we kind of continue to go on to consume more and more and more. And so this, in the environmental sense, it's it's not great, right? We're continually contributing to the landfill, and this kind of desire to acquire more and more and more. In the end, it doesn't really make us feel any happier, any happiness that we or joy that we get out of acquiring things. Um, that kind of happiness is only transient. And so I started to look into minimalism, and yes, the main concept is about living with less, but minimalism might look different for each individual, and it's not really about the set number of items that you have that makes you a minimalist or not. um, and so I just want to talk a little bit about this, and I want to highlight, for instance, some of the benefits of minimalism. So Well, first of all, you're going to end up saving money because you're not buying as much. And when you do, you are more intentional about it because minimalism is really about living with what you need, right? What are the most important things to you in your life? So, when you are being really intentional with the amount of items that you keep, you're also going to be much more intentional about the items that you will buy. You will really think about, do I really need it? Is this an impulse buy? What am I going to do with it? And when you're thinking about your purchases like that, that limits all that mindless purchases that you accumulate, which perhaps end up being possessions that you actually don't use, and you might even feel guilty about buying these things. You also become less wasteful because, again, it comes with, when you have a minimalistic mindset, you are being super intentional with everything that you own. And when you're so intentional with the things that you have, you will become less wasteful in all areas of your life. So it's going to kind of find its way through. So perhaps, even the way you think about cooking, the way you use water, and other things that you perhaps don't really think about, you'll start becoming or paying more attention to. And when you need less, when you truly have the few items that make you happy, you spend less time focusing on acquiring more. And this in itself can save so much time. And you may not think of it this way at first, but when your life is about trying to acquire satisfaction or happiness by buying and uh, by buying and possessing certain objects, you spend so much of your time shopping, whether it be window shopping or online shopping. You're chasing the latest trend. You might be buying things. And this is another thing that I want to just touch on before I go forward, is that sometimes we buy things not to make ourselves happy. We buy things because we perceive that other people expect us to have these things, or that we buy these things, or by owning certain objects, you may want to, how to say, present yourself in a certain way so that other people will perceive you in a different way, right? So all of these things, it can get quite exhausting because, one, you're not living your authentic life. You're trying to create a life for yourself so that people will perceive you in a certain way. And, that in itself to me sounds tiring to do for, over the long period of over a long period of time, let alone your lifetime, right? And so, sometimes we buy because we feel as though these objects are going to give us happiness. Sometimes we buy not even for ourselves, but to create an image of ourselves. So, when we start to live with less, these things start to become apparent to us. Why is it that I need this item? Why is it that I'm holding on to this? And then you're gonna actually, the minimalistic journey starts off as physically, decluttering or discarding things. And you're going to find that as you continue with this journey, it actually becomes quite a personal and spiritual journey where there's so much room for growth here if we continue with it. So yeah, so that's super interesting to just to get to know yourself better by understanding the items that you own. Now, also, when you have less items, this also saves you time in other ways. Because I'm not sure about you, but I used to have, such a full wardrobe. And just getting up in the morning and picking out what to wear, it took me forever. Just, every single day just to get ready. There were too many choices. And funny enough, research have shown that, when you have absolutely no choice, you're going to feel horrible. It's going to be torture when you have no choice at all. When you increase the number of options available, your quality of life will improve. You feel like you are in control in some sense because you get to choose, right? What you want. But when you increase the number of options to a certain extent, it actually has the opposite effect. Then you become unable to make a decision. You get, too many choices means, I guess, no choice, and you just get confused. And so I think this was done with the number of options of jam options in the supermarket, where if you have about six options, people are actually more likely to buy. It's easy for them to make a decision. But when you increase it to something like over 20 different varieties of jams, then actually you get less people buying because they couldn't they couldn't make decisions as to which one they want. And so, when we start to minimize and we're only keeping the things that are meaningful to us, that bring us joy, that we absolutely love, decisions are going to be easier, right? For two reasons. One, there's less options, so making a choice is easier. But secondly, wouldn't it be such a beautiful thing to wear your favorite clothes every single day because all you keep are your favorites? So this in itself can bring so much more joy. Um, all in the little things in life you can find joy. So yes, what else? So yeah, so like I said, when we start minimalizing, it might start off as just an exercise to decrease the number of items that you own, and which in itself could be quite freeing. How many times have you, perhaps done a garage sale or a yard sale, or done a spring cleanup where you clear out a lot of old clothes and things like that. Just the exercise of letting go of some of the things you own is quite cathartic in some ways. You feel like, this feels nice. It's like you've created space, not just in your house, but within yourself. And this is essentially what happens when you start minimalizing. You start to also understand yourself in a whole new way. Just like I said, it might just start off as an exercise of decluttering, but when you get so intentional about thinking about what this item means to you and why you're keeping it, it's going to point you towards perhaps unconscious emotions and thoughts and beliefs about yourself that you weren't even aware of. And so, in doing so, you're not only removing things that don't that are not meaningful to you, but you might also be removing certain items that are actually having some sort of um, influence on you in sort of a negative sense, if you like. There are items that perhaps we look at that reminds us of an experience that that isn't super pleasant, right? That's not necessarily a bad thing, but for instance, when you have all of these kind of challenging thoughts and emotions that come up that you're not dealing with and instead you're suppressing, then that over time can turn into symptom ailments and dis-ease in your body. And so when you have these items that are constantly reminding you of sort of these challenging emotions or bringing up these challenging emotions and thoughts and whatnot, and and likely you're not dealing with it, you're just it comes up, you try to push it away, then you're going to get these constant reminders in all of these other objects that you look at that are sending you sort of some sort of messages and conjuring up memories and emotions that you have. And sometimes when these sort of thoughts, emotions are big, you might recognize it right away. But there are items, perhaps that are triggering a reaction from you, but it's quite subtle, and you may not even be aware of it, but you're sort of subjecting yourself to these more subtle messages, if you like, every day. And so in this way, objects around your house can actually be a distraction because it it doesn't allow you to focus your energy in a more, how do you say, when your house is full of stuff, everywhere you look, it's gonna get your attention, right? And your energy and attention will tend to be more scattered. And these might be quite subtle. You may not realize them, right? Because if you did notice that was happening, you'll probably start to remove some of these items. But sometimes things are there and we're used to having them there, but we don't actually realize that they're taking our attention, and in doing so, our energy. And so when you start minimizing, especially your workspace, you might actually find that you're more productive and more efficient in your work. And so these are just some of the benefits with minimizing. So we can actually go quite deeply in this subject, but I just want to leave you with a few tips to minimizing if you are interested in exploring this area. So like I said, when you are starting to minimalize your items, or thinking of minimalist living, it's not about how many how many things do you need to get rid of to be a minimalist, or if there's an X number of items that you're only allowed to possess to call yourself a minimalist. It doesn't work that way. And people who are on their minimalist journey, they will have different number of items. It's more about being intentional about what you own and what you will acquire. And when you are thinking about this, you may not even start by discarding anything at all. Maybe the first step is just about cultivating a minimalist mindset. It all starts up here, right? And so, just to start being aware of the items that you own, just being more intentional about the things that you will buy. Really thinking about, do I really love this? Am I going to use this? Do I need this? Is this essential? And why am I buying this? What kind of feeling or emotion am I hoping to get out of purchasing this object? And also, am I buying this item because of an insecurity in myself, and I feel that if I buy this, I will feel better about myself, or other people will perceive that I am a better person for having this item? These are clues as to, whether you really need it, or whether you're looking at trying to find happiness outside of yourself. So second tip, start slow. Okay, you don't have to clear out everything at once. And when you start clearing out things, it might be just starting with items that are clearly junk. If you have empty cans or boxes that are lying around that are, cardboard boxes and things like that, things that you don't need, that are trash, broken things, things that you say that you want to get rid of, but you've kind of just pushed it somewhere out of sight and forgot about it. Start with those items. Start clearing those out. And then you might also start removing things that are in multiples, right? So, for instance, do you really need 5 whisks in the kitchen? 3 pairs of scissors, 20 pens, and so forth. Can we minimize these items? How many do you actually need? How many things or that you keep in multiples because of that just in case scenario, right? Pare it down. And last tip, if discarding items are difficult for you, you can always do a test run, right? You might pack up some of the items that you feel that perhaps you don't need, but you're not sure, and there's still some kind of attachment to them. Pack them up into a box, put them away out of sight, and then check back in a few months, 3 or 4 months time, or however long a period you want to set your test run, and then check and see which items did you actually miss, which items did you actually need that perhaps you had to go back in the box and pick it back out, and that's fine. And then, but I think that what you'll realize is that most of the items that you put away, you probably didn't miss them, and maybe probably didn't even notice that they were gone. And that's a good, clue as to perhaps those items can go, right? So, like I said, there's so much more we can get into here. And if you are interested in learning more about how we can start to simplify your life by minimizing the material objects that you own, do reach out. I'd love to share more with you on this topic. Now, so this is one of the many areas that I address in my practice to help you de-stress your life and live more healthily in a holistic way, and also living more intentionally and rediscovering your life purpose and direction. If you want to learn more about how I can support you on your health journey or your personal journey, don't be shy. Do reach out. I would be more than happy to hop on a call with you and point you in the right direction. So if you enjoyed our mini training today, remember to tune in again next week. So next Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, I will be talking about how we can support our bodies through good nutrition next week. And also, I will be hosting another free community event this month, and it is actually this Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. If you're free, do join me for a free yoga and meditation class, and I will add the link so you can register to this class below. So there's still time to register, so I'd love to move and flow with you all. So again, do reach out, comment below, ask your questions. I'm here to support you. So, all right, I will see you all next week or maybe in the yoga class. Much love. Take care.